This is Wandering Universe. Today, my heart feels aroused to explore more captivating places than the usual one-show pony, if you know what I mean. Fascinating places that fill my mind with wonder. This time, I'll be exploring a place that ceased to exist. I can't really show you what it is, but I can tell you a story of its existence. It's called the House of Knowledge, but don't worry, I'll leave an interesting clue right after this. So, let's go exploring. Hello, and welcome back. Yes, I'm back to exploring Earth, as you can see right in front of you. So, we're going to explore a particular area that goes way back, has an ancient history, has an ancient past that created the golden age of information. I think you have an idea what I'm talking about. So let's move this big blue marble around and we're back here. We're not going to Africa today. We're going to explore a northern part of Africa. So here we go. We're going to go right in. We're going back to Egypt. Right here, as you can see. We're not going to explore the pyramids today. We're going to this area called Alexandria. Now, what's in Alexandria? Well, I think you know. There was a great library that housed information in the thousands. So, I'm going to go right into Alexandria. As you can see, it's on a coastal line. There was a lot of maritime business that traded books, scrolls, information, goods, whatever it came from Europe and across the Atlantic. So as you can see, I'm just going in a little bit closer. There's Alexandria. And the library, the ancient library or whatever's left of it, was somewhere around here in this area. So as you can see, the Library of Alexandria, that's the new library that they formed there. The museum is just here. It's also a university. And as you can see, there's a lot of residential buildings surrounding the once stood monument. So in this area, as you can see, ships would have came into port right here in this bay area, in this harbour area, and that's where they docked, and that's where they managed to get all the scrolls, to copy them, file them, allocate them in the libraries, and then return them back to their owners. So a lot of flow of information from other parts of, say, Northern Africa, from Greece, Macedonia, Italy, and also from, say, Eastern Europe and from France, flowed all the way to this area in Alexandria. Now, there's not much to show you other than it's just a port city. And as you can see, there's a lot of underwater land masses, as you well know. There's something very interesting about Alexandria other than what it was. And as you can see right here, there's a lot of underwater land masses here. I believe that would have been an extinct volcano right there. And what's very interesting, if you have a closer look, there's a very shallow landmass here, just on the coastal edge there. So as you can see here, there was something there where my arrow is pointing, some sort of tunnel, some sort of road right there. And as you can see, I just found something very interesting right here. This is an underwater ruin. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if it's been documented or if any archaeologist has dived down there to take a closer look at what it was. But as you can see how there's a square-shaped imprint right there and a triangular imprint right there. I'm not sure what it was, but it'd be interesting to find out what was down there. This particular underwater ruin would have played a significant role in the development of the pyramids in Egypt and its ancient civilization that stems far back to the last ice age. Who were these people? What sort of civilization they had? Well, it could have been magnificent. It could have been wealthy. It could have contained a lot of gold, a lot of precious metals, and it would have thrived an economy that was decentralized. So it was a self-governing, a self-governing autonomous society. And for that, they built a civilization right near the water's edge there that was easy access inside the port of Egypt. So if anyone knows any information about this particular underwater ruin, please let me know in the comments section. But other than that, I'll just take you in a closer look at Alexandria. That's it there. That's all you're going to see. The ruins are near the port area, and what's left is just what you see is what you get, really. There's really nothing else to say, but other than it just housed a media center of information. So let's explore the great library of Alexandria and what it had to offer in its ancient past. So enjoy this video. Once upon a time in Egypt stood a harbour city gleaming with life. An up and happening hub filled with excitement abound, bringing the hustle and bustle of local traffic whilst enjoying the pleasurable comforts of city living. A place populated with fancy people from all walks of life trying to make a fresh start. This portside city was called Alexandria in northern Egypt, named after the Macedonian emperor Alexander the Great. Alexandria was an explorer's paradise, a luxury escape, a resort for the rich and powerful, a cherished icon of the ancient world known for its Corinthian architecture and gardenscapes that beautified the township. Apart from its congested cobblestone streets, booming maritime trade, and beachside harbour views, there was one thing this city was known for: knowledge. This location played a pivotal role of guarding priceless collective works donated to a research institute, an archive of stored information in one giant library like that of today's digital directory, created by the one and only Alexander's insatiable hunger to wander out to foreign lands in search of new territory to conquer. His entourage gathered enough intel from his charted conquest to configure a new world map. A map, unlike any other, presented a wide range of treks across the Great Divide, included countless civilizations never seen on any ancient map. In view, Alexander was the first geographical surveyor to gain knowledge of geography. For this, it gave rise to a movement of scientific analysis of lands, features, inhabitants, and phenomena on Earth to seek out new civilizations that no explorer has ever gone before. Alexander the Great had a dream: to go down in history as one of the greatest explorers that left behind a legacy, to draw a map of newfound civilizations explored along his trail. His conquest stretched far and wide, from Macedonia to India, and as a result brought back a treasure of information that other conquerors failed to do, to form a geographical directory of other civilizations in existence. For this, ancient Egypt opened up a new chapter in its history books, to go down as one of Egypt's greatest foreign conquests in the golden age of information. Upon his deathbed in 320 BC, Alexander whispered to his right-hand man his last request. to create a grandiose library filled with every subject and field for the world to explore, study, and research at their leisure. Soon after his death, his wish was granted, but not without some financial backing. King Ptolemy I, Alexander's former right-hand man, couldn't do it alone. The task of building a library was like a migraine he couldn't handle. Just when the possible almost became impossible, destiny had an idea. Meet Demetrius of Phaleron, a former disgraced governor notorious in Athens for his dirty political underhand deals. He sought refuge to this man, King Ptolemy I. Demetrius had a bright idea. Ptolemy listened to his new business proposition. An idea that would put Alexandria on the world map and rival Athens' reputation. A deluxe building that warehoused books written by great minds from all walks of life, discovering all facets of life on Earth. Ptolemy likened the idea, and the deal was sealed. Demetrius went on a hunt for information, whilst Ptolemy scouted for a location. Alas, the marketing campaign looked promising, yet the cost of constructing a building would kill their budget. Suddenly, Ptolemy's light bulb lit up. He'd allocate a large section of his palace to turn into a house of knowledge, making numerous fit-outs and renovations to create a book depository. It made the perfect setting for a library, functional, spacious, and accommodating. But there was one slight problem: no brand, no business name. After much contemplation, Demetrius came up with one, and the Great Library of Alexandria was born. Demetrius had the smarts and Ptolemy I had the brawn. Together, they developed a grand PR campaign in search of a suitable name for such an enterprise. Ultimately, Ptolemy named it the Great Library of Alexandria. It transformed the capital from a quiet fishing village to a thriving and noisy metropolis. Though scholars had great reservations naming it after the former tyrants, they contentedly made the long excursion to visit the smashing library to get a sneak peek on what it had to offer. Demetrius called the library the Temple of the Muses, the word muses meaning the arts. A fancy name to dress up the library with added cosmetic features of a museum, fitted with display cabinets, bookshelves filled with an assortment of information, artwork, cultural artifacts imported voluntarily from foreign business dealings. Muses then turned itself over to museum, that became museum. Demetrius's business proposition paid off. The library became the shrine of knowledge, an institute for study and research of diverse environments, places and spaces about our planet. As more manuscripts came in by the truckload, the less room Ptolemy had to accommodate them. But someone else had a bright idea. Ptolemy III saw an opportunity for expansion, to create a second library called the Serapeum in Rhyocotis, an urban city within Alexandria. Not only did Demetrius's dream came true, it was also an enterprise that boosted the country's economy, making it a profitable legacy brought forward by the ambition of Ptolemy's grandson, Ptolemy III. These libraries needed to be supplied with a constant inflow of books. To create a pseudo-PR campaign, Ptolemy III ordered a compulsory acquisition of books confiscated from every ship docked at port. Once the manuscripts were surrendered, the authorities proceeded to copy them and file them in the allocated libraries. Once completed, the originals were returned to the rightful owners. It seems Ptolemy's chronic obsession for knowledge was actually a blessing in disguise. It allowed the free flowing of technical information with no watchful eye of a secret organization to blacklist, discredit, or censor writers' intellectual property. The oasis of knowledge transitioned into a museum of intellectual property. It was a scholar's dream to lap it up its facilities with lecture halls, laboratories, observatories, gardens, a zoo, living quarters, dining areas, and the grand library that made their stay very welcoming. Modern universities are an upgrade of its 2,000-year-old invention. Learning became fun, taking part in a variety of exhibitions and activities that educated the masses about the world and what it had on offer. Every single bookcase was filled to the rim, between 200,000 to 700,000 manuscripts. You name it, they had every topic, title, and subject under the sun, from Greek literature and philosophy, corpus of Egyptian records, Berosus' history of Babylonia, Hermippus's Zoroastrianism, Buddhist texts, and more. It even provided a full list of fields to try your hand at: rhetoric, law, epic tragedy, comedy, lyric poetry, history, medicine, maths, natural science, anything goes according to the natural history of the world. Word of mouth was the best publicity tool to strengthen its name, appealing to scholars from all over the globe to undertake intense study sessions, scientific and literary tuition, along with scholarly programs from literary donations. They also created an inventory system that catalogued, indexed, and registered each book in the biblioteca. They humbly opened up a bookstore fitted with a nice little coffee shop for bookworms to catch up on their latest read. This awe-inspiring library won the People's Choice Award for popularity. Its name was franchised across the globe in countries like Constantinople, France, Italy, England, and Germany. This painful old saying, "all good things must come to an end," certainly did its bidding. Over the decades, several corrupt and deplorable leaders viewed knowledge as the enemy of their ego, gaslighting to the public that learning was a virus that had to be exterminated. If anyone dared to outsmart the emperor's limited intelligence of the world, they would be punished. And so the good times came to an abrupt end for this mecca of knowledge. The cause of the Great Fire in 48 BC was deliberately lit, not by the nomad Arabs' fanaticism for conquest, but by this guy, Julius Caesar. Yes, this idiot. His position of power was in a pickle caused by a tiff between Ptolemy XIII and Cleopatra. To settle their messy disputes, stupid Caesar took a drastic measure that sent humanity to the Dark Ages. Ptolemy forces were occupying the Alexandrian mass, leaving Caesar helpless and powerless in his wake. Instead of surrendering, he set fire to the Egyptian ships as a silly scare tactic. But this tactic took a turn for the worse as the burning embers floated through parts of the city near the shore. Then the unforgivable happened. The books stored in a warehouse waiting for clearance by customs were set alight and burned through the night like a raving bushfire that brought a tragic end to the emergence of universal knowledge. But it didn't end there. Soon after stupid Caesar's assassination, and served him right for being one, greed, corruption, and power struggles came into the mix. After that, the library's destiny was well and truly over. Under the orders of Emperor Theodosius I, who sanctioned the Serapeums, and the Royal Library's destruction, engaged his sidekick, goon, Bishop Theo of Alex, to do his dirty work. This story contradicts its claim, with little evidence to support the notion that the Royal Library itself was destroyed. The entire complex was left standing until the 7th century. Not even General Amrul ibn al-As, who unwisely fabricated a dramatic angst story of using the scrolls to heat up the bathhouses for 6 months, were true. It was written 300 years after the event. The library's gradual decline, demoralised by irrational idiots, gradually fell between 400 to 500 years. Back then, books were not invented until a few hundred years later. What they stored were papyrus scrolls tied in a pretty red ribbon. Although it was called a library, to Strabo it was called a museum. Speaking of scrolls, this is not the only library who suffered an unexpected and shocking fate. The Nalanda University, located in Magadha in East India, also suffered a terrible fate. Established in 427 CE by Buddhist monks, they set up residence inside a step pyramid structure and turned it into a safe haven for scholars and monks alike to read and learn from the sacred written tablets. The step pyramid structure itself was discovered by the monks, but not built by them. The half-pyramid structure, left purposely incomplete, displays curved stone steps that incline to the base. Yet it appears as if it was purposely built in this manner. Until this day, the identity of the true builders remains unknown. Whilst the monks set up a fortress of education, its founding fame was short-lived. A tyrant and brute leader, Kaliji, brought forth his destruction as he had contempt for learning. He provoked his goons to burn and raid the majestic library to teach humanity a lesson about learning. The need to acquire knowledge that empowered the human mind made the authoritative leader cringe with envy. Whatever vital information about the Earth's historical past this library guarded was incinerated to ashes. The only person entitled to knowledge was the top dog ruler. The cause for its downfall is very simple. The library was established under a centralised power. For that, knowledge was restricted to wealthy scholars and imperial leaders via invitation only. The imperial leaders saw knowledge as the enemy of their egos. To them, responsibility is a dirty word. As they never wanted to be accountable for their defective beliefs, these scrolls spoke against. If any of these scrolls opposed their defective beliefs, it was imprudently destroyed. "2,000 years ago, the world was changing. It was opening up a new opportunity that gave people the freedom to expand their mind. Knowledge, a concept introduced by Demetrius, who enticed Ptolemy I to establish the building blocks to house newfound written discoveries. A library. This concept changed the ancient world, inviting many great minds to store their beloved works for future inventors, artists and philosophers to reinvigorate new ideas, intellectually stimulating our understanding of the world we live in. Today, some archaeologists claim that parts of its museum still remains buried underneath the modern city. Only a few remnants of its past still survived. They also claim the Great Library housed many historical written texts from great minds like Homer, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and more. Alexandria was experiencing one of the greatest times in history. The world was its oyster that introduced thousands of written texts of unheard discoveries and historical accounts that opened up a world of contemporary ideas and technology. But what if, just what if, in light of all this, that the ancient beings foresaw humanity do the unthinkable? To actually sit down and read a scroll? To tap into a part of our brain that empowered a need for higher learning? If it were true, by now us humans would have explored beyond the realms of space and the universe. Instead, we've resorted to following our instinctive program, all thanks to corrupt imbeciles who thought learning new knowledge would make them sick. Yet, our need to acquire knowledge still yearns in our hearts to discover more. It enables us to branch out beyond the limits of suggestible and questionable doctrine, to a world where anything is possible. If there is one thing this great library taught humanity, it is this: that the ancient beings were merely pointing us in the right direction, to gain a grasp of learning without fearing the unknown, to embrace, to empower, and to enrich our lives with a better understanding of who we are. Most importantly, this library left a reminder that knowledge should be, at all costs, cherished, guarded, and protected away from the corrupt and diabolical hands. Why? Because knowledge is the only valuable thing that makes us truly human. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Speaking of libraries, I'm going to explore another ancient media centre housed with musty old impressive manuscripts that will keep you mentally stimulated. This particular one had an untimely end not long after Alexandria's fall from fame. That's all for now.